Hi guys, it's John and some reviews. I hope you're doing well. Firstly, I apologise for my sunburn and probably starting to peel face. This weekend I was at Download Festival and the weather was fantastic, but I also underestimated it on the first day, on the Friday, where it started off pretty mild and fine, so I thought, maybe don't need to completely cover myself in sun cream, which was a bad move by about mid-afternoon because the sun came out and I felt the full force of that on my face and arms. But it was, I'd take that over torrential rain any day. So I first went to Download in 2010 for a day. I was probably about 13. And I went for a day in 2012. I went for the weekend with my dad in 2013 for the first time. And then I started going on and off from 2017 onwards with my mates where we did the camping. I didn't go last year, but this year I thought the lineup was like pretty stellar, and there was a lot of bands on there that I hadn't seen before that I wanted to see that were on my checklist, and other bands that I've got into more since I last saw them at Download, so I wanted to see them again properly and on different stages. So before I carry on with the video and let you know who I saw and what I thought, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, it means a lot, and if you're feeling extra generous, hit the subscribe button. So throw your horns up and let's talk about Download Festival 2026. The first band I saw was on the Dogtooth stage, the smallest tent, and that was Headwreck. I didn't know too much about them. I'd only listened to a few of their songs just before the festival. I was originally going to see them supporting Silly Goose, who I also see at the festival, but unfortunately I couldn't make that show. And also, when I realised they were playing back-to-back at Download, I thought I'd save a bit of cash and just see them there. But Headwreck were really cool. They've got this PlayStation 2 era nu metal aesthetic to them, which I'm a huge sucker for. I'm always a fan of breakdowns. I'm a fan of scratching and turntables and sample noises. So combine those together, I'm going to enjoy it. 20 minutes flew by, and I'm definitely going to check out some of their stuff properly on Spotify. I'm not ready to rumble. Thinking of a bed, thinking of a set. This got no shit. There's a pleasure and leisure, and you can measure the second shit. So on my way over to Silly Goose, I caught the End of Scene Queen set. Thankfully, I got to hear a couple of her newer songs. I'm a big fan of Tracksuit, so I managed to see that when I was heading over. I saw her at Download a couple years ago, and she was great fun, and she brought that same vibe here on the main stage.
Headline stock goes to the abuser. Half my idols are fucking losers. If I'm the bitch just starting rumors, what about the dogs turn into groomers?
Silly Goose were on my list of bands that I really wanted to see, as I've got into them a lot over the past couple of years, particularly last year when they dropped their latest album. And I'm again, like Headwreck, they have a very nu metal aesthetic to them, and yeah, great fun as I expected and hoped for. They've got this anarchic punk energy to them as well, which is really good fun, and they really got the crowd going. So definitely hope to catch them again at some point when they tour in another smaller venue, because I feel like that will be an absolute riot. Then after Silly Goose finished, the first big band for me that I really wanted to see and who have been on my list for a while to see were finally over here on the main stage, and that was Hollywood Undead. Again, a band I have a huge amount of nostalgia for. Hollywood Undead, some of the lyrics now, maybe not aged too well, but I can't deny undead coming in hot, and especially everywhere I go, like in a packed festival of thousands of people chanting along to absolutely absurd lyrics is a lot of fun, and I really love the direction they're going with their newer stuff. They played One by One, which was great, and I'm hoping that when they drop whenever this new album comes out that they've been releasing singles for, they come back around here and tour again, because they were a lot of fun. Next up was Pendulum on the main stage, and they were just as good as when I saw them a couple years ago at Download. And they even brought out Rue Reynolds from Enter Shikari to do a remix version of Sorry You're Not a Winner, which was a really hype moment, and really glad I got to see that. Napalm and Cannibal from their album from last year go off really well alongside the classics that everyone's singing along to. Pendulum and The Prodigy and stuff, they just hit absolutely perfectly at Download. And this was really good fun to see them again. Again, sticking on the main stage was Electric Callboy. Saw them only just in November, so the show was very much similar to that. Like, they even had like moments that were exactly the same as when I saw them in November, but obviously, you know, that's to be expected. They were on that same tour cycle. They had a couple of newer songs that they released that they played. You know, like just really good fun and cheesy with the hyper and pump it with the goofy 80s workout gear and stuff like that. And yeah, just a really good party band. Next up was Cypress Hill as a sub-headliner on Friday, and they brought a much more chill, like groovy vibe, which was quite good after like how hyper Pendulum and Electric Callboy were. And they got tons of classics: Insane in the Brain, How I Could Just Kill a Man, I Ain't Going Out Like That. Like, they got loads of stuff. And you know, they've embraced like the new metal roots before. They've done Rock Superstar, which they played. They covered Rage Against the Machine. They threw in a load of classic rock and metal riffs throughout the set, and it was just really good. And it was a perfect warm-up to when Limp Bizkit play, which, you know, has that combination of rap and metal that, you know, is perfected. And speaking of which, look, I've seen Limp Bizkit now 4 times, and, you know, like, they rarely like change up the set list too much, apart from this one where they threw in Bring It Back, which is like a random deep cut from Gold Cobra, which I was very happy with. And look, the crowd was absolutely monstrous. I wasn't going to go right to the front for them. I didn't want to risk any potential injury, especially with us on my own this weekend. But I was sort of like just behind the front section. And look, you know what you're going to get with Limp Bizkit, and they put on an amazing show. I love the fact that so many headliners put an insane amount of effort in the huge stage setup and everything like that, whereas Limp Bizkit like do some terrible Photoshop / probably AI generated stupid screensavers behind them, and just throw up the lyrics for people to sing along to, which was great. Clearly like taking the piss with it, but in the grand scheme of things, it's the music that matters, and that crowd was definitely probably the most packed and lively of the 3 headliners. Yeah, the bands kick off at 11 a.m. on Saturday, so I think my first one was, like just before midday, and that was Snot. Again, another new metal band from that era that I wasn't too familiar with, only until sort of like the start of this year, end of last year. I gave them like a proper listen. Next up was supposed to be Drowning Pool, but due to flight like issues and stuff, their set got bumped to later on and on a smaller stage, which was a bit annoying. But then when they did play in the small stage, it absolutely went off, and in a way probably enhanced the experience. 4 tracks off Sinner, which is a, you know, underrated new metal banger. And of course, the whole place absolutely erupting during Bodies was genuinely one of the highlights of the festival for me. Then next up was Trivium. Again, I've seen Trivium a few times now, but damn, this might be the best that I've seen them. This one, they just absolutely ripped through a greatest hit set. And I also loved how, at first I was slightly concerned with the crowd, because I was in the front standing section. Yeah, there was a load of people waiting for Guns N' Roses on fucking deck chairs, which, that's fine, but don't be in the front section taking up space with them. I think they quickly realized when Trivium started they had to move back, because a pit immediately opened up and it got even bigger. And, you know, rowing pits are in there, huge circle pits and stuff. I sort of stayed to the outskirts, but I'll see Trivium at any time, and they always put on a killer show, and this was no exception. You know, when In Waves kicks in and everyone's jumping and going nuts, you know, nothing better than that. Saw them at Download when they last headlined, and it was just a bit of a mixed bag for me. Axl kept going off every 10 minutes. They did God knows how many like instrumental jam sections and covers, which I'm just like, look, just play anything off of Appetite and Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, and it'll be fine. This year, I will say, it was still a bit of a slog at points. I did find myself sitting down a couple of times just because it's like the crowd wasn't really feeling it, apart from when the big songs kicked in. And Axl, I will say, sounded good during his lower voice bits, but he still can't fully hit those highs. But at the same time, I can forgive it somewhat because when Slash drops his November Rain solo, it's amazing. And started off early at 11 AM with Spitting Glass. This was again like Headwreck, a little bit of a sort of blind watch for me, and delivered exactly what I wanted and expected to wake me up on a Sunday, which was a lot of heavy breakdowns. Then headed down to the front of the main stage for more heavy breakdowns, and that was in the form of Kublai Khan TX, a band who I like. I really love a couple of their songs, but I've never really been locked in for like plenty of their albums. I do find them a little bit repetitive, but they put on a good show, delivered a lot of nodding and head stomping, foot stomping and head nodding. I'm still a bit tired. Then up next was an interesting one because the second stage gets busy, and normally that's when it's sort of the last few acts of the evening. Not normally about 1:45, and that was mainly due to the fact that Keanu Reeves' band Dogstar was playing. The majority of people never knew that Keanu Reeves probably even have a band. And you know what? They're solid post-grunge kind of noddable rock. It was a chill vibe. And you know, the novelty of seeing Keanu Reeves at Download Festival certainly sold it. But Jesus Christ, it was absolutely heaving, and that would never normally have happened. Then back over to the main stage was a band that I wanted to see for a long while, and I was glad they were announced. That was the Pretty Reckless. Obviously, when they arrived on the scene would Make Me Want to Die. That sort of blew up for them, and since then I've sort of, my interest and fandom of them has grown. Taylor Momsen is an amazing vocalist. Top set list, very much looking forward to the album at the end of this month. And I'm very tempted to see them again when they come back to the UK in November, December to hear more of those newer songs live. Then the next band, for me, might be the highlight of the whole weekend for me, and that was Ice Nine Kills. Now, I saw Ice Nine Kills at Download a few years ago on the second stage, where I only knew a handful of their songs. However, their recent tracks absolutely loved. From The Last Laugh, which is like the Joker tribute, and The Great Unknown, particularly the Matrix song, I think is like brilliant, one of my favorites of theirs. And man, their stage show was incredible. I'm a big fan of horror movies, so the whole geeky references in the lyrics, practical on stage blood and guts and props and costumes aesthetic was an absolute riot. Just great showman. It's a really refreshing switch up from just the digital screens doing patterns and stuff. The audience loved it. The hour absolutely flew by. I would happily have taken more of it. And they're coming back here next year in March, so I'm very tempted to see them dive into more of their discography as well, because they were an absolute blast, and yeah, probably my favourite at the festival. Then when they wrapped up, I went and got some food, weighed around a little bit, because the next one for me, before Linkin Park headlining, was another nostalgic nu metal band. Spineshank was celebrating 25 years of Height of Callousness, so the set list was just bangers from that, as well as Beginning of the End and Violent Mood Swings, and they absolutely ripped through it. They're supporting Skindred at the end of the year, so I'm very tempted just to go to that to see them again as well. Met the singer briefly as well afterwards as they were coming out, when I was heading out of the tent, and they were coming out at the same time, so got a quick photo with him. And then to top off the weekend was Linkin Park. Now, Linkin Park are probably, you know, my all-time favourite band. So when I got to see them finally for the first time last year at Wembley Stadium, it was amazing. And they were just as great this time round, obviously with a slightly shortened set. And Emily now officially being the first female-fronted band headlining it. Even though some people still have doubts about her, which I think is crazy because she absolutely killed it. And she's killed it in the whole like reunion thing, but that's a whole other topic. But yeah, look, Linkin Park absolutely killed it, especially with a big festival crowd belting out Faint, What I've Done in the end, of course. Like, just an amazing experience and a great way to wrap up the weekend. So yeah, Download 2026 was a blast. Hopefully the lineup is as great next year and we'll be going again. But yeah, if you watch this video, let me know below if you went or what was your last sort of concert experience or what was your last download. But yeah, thanks for watching. Apologies if I seem a bit rambly and spaced out because I'm still pretty tired and I think I got a bit of sunstroke. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, guys, and I'll speak to you again soon on the next one. Cheers.